all start aging at the moment of conception. If we're lucky, we will age for a long time, but this also brings other problems with it.
I'm Katelyn Oliver, a University of Southern California Masters of Social Work candidate. And for the past couple of months, I've been running a systematic research review on the concept of ageism and how that affects our society, specifically in our workforce. So, to begin with, let's just ask the simple question. What is ageism?
Many people have heard the word sexism and racism. What is ageism?
Ageism is any time that you assume that a person will behave in a certain way because of their age.
Few people considered discrimination and prejudice against elderly until Robert Butler coined the word ageism in 1968. Butler was the first director of the National Institute on Aging.
Older people, and a lot of people have bought into the myths that have been generated about aging. You know, all our lives, since we were young, through the media, all kinds of the media, through the magazines, through radio and television, we have learned that when we get old, we're going to be sick, that we're going to be useless, no longer a part of society. Unfortunately, many people have bought into these stereotypes. And as a result, we find that many people, older people particularly, have withdrawn from the mainstream of life.
From a biosocial perspective, scholars argue that when humans hear the word old, they automatically create cognitive connections to other negative trait words. In addition, studies used to test implicit ageism find that people of all ages have an unconscious motivation to view older people in a negative way, regardless of experience. However, related studies do imply that people attuned to the influence of stereotypes who have a personality characterized by low prejudice have a better chance of fighting off innate feelings of prejudice toward the old. It is possible that younger generations today have negative attitudes toward the aged because of an innate desire for psychological self-preservation. A perspective known as terror management theory argues that the aged remind the young that they are mortal. Younger people see older people, and it triggers anxiety and fear. Humans like to control their lives. Aging is inevitable. Humans cannot control it. Older people remind younger people of their mortality. So the young direct amplified amounts of negativity toward the old to calm their reservations about aging. It is a classic sociological example of one group stigmatizing another to increase its own sense of well-being. However, it also hints that intrinsic processes beyond our control might lead to ageism.
Now that you know what ageism is and how it can be intrinsically unnoticeable, let's talk about who it's affecting. There are 25 million senior adults in America today, and of that, only 3 million are employed, according to the United States Census Bureau. This is concerning because, as we all know, the baby boomer generation is starting to enter retirement age. In addition, technology is allowing people to live longer. So this means that senior adults are either going to need larger retirement funds or they're going to have to work longer. So let's look at the issue. How is ageism affecting the workforce?
Three current cultural conditions facilitate problems associated with ageism. They involve economic dynamics, media representations of the aged, and gender variables. Ageism does have a functional component. With the U.S. culture so oriented toward youth, products tied to anti-aging have created a multi-billion-dollar per year industry. However, there is a considerable downside to aging and the economy: age discrimination. As the Industrial Revolution outdated the work skills of older generations, many elders struggled to maintain their place in the economy. Without the ability to work, some of the old became economically dependent on younger generations. By the early 1900s, as much as 50% of older people lived with younger family members. The development of pension programs helped mitigate this trend. However, very few large companies used them. Even for those who did, pensions were not a way to reward the old for a lifetime of hard work. Instead, pensions were a way to move elder workers out the door and make way for younger employees willing to work for lower wages.
One of the things that they said was, do you want a policeman to, or would you expect a policeman to be able to perform his job if he or she is, say, 70 years old? We said some people can't perform that job at age 30. It's just not, that's just not the criteria. So anytime that you make an assumption based on age that a person will be a certain way, that's ageism.
Now that we defined ageism and discussed its relevancy, particularly pertaining to the workforce, let's talk about how we can reduce ageism in the future. A primary way to reduce ageism for the future is intergenerational contact. This means that individuals of different ages interact with one another, creating a sense of equality.
It is important to note that not all younger people view the elderly in a negative way. Research shows that attitudes toward the elderly relate to two issues: discussions of the aged from a generic or personal perspective, and one's level of contact. Ageist attitudes shift when researchers ask subjects about old people in general versus old people they know well. When asked about older people in general, younger people endorse stereotypes about the old. When asked about specific loved ones, respondents refute stereotypes. With an increased level of contact, when younger people interact with older people more often, they are less likely to have ageist attitudes.
What our concept is, every age is a good age. We can make a contribution to society at every age, and that is